The teasers dropped, the fandom went silent. In an instant, the entire K-pop world was turned upside down. A single backstage photo in Toronto just shattered the illusion, leaving fans asking, how could the champions of Love Yourself pose with a known monster? Welcome to StarScope K-Report. Join Eric and Minji as we ride the Hallyu wave, uncovering the biggest K-pop comebacks, shocking industry controversies, and major K-drama updates. From internet-breaking rumors to historic chart milestones, we dive deep into the world of Korean entertainment.
Yeah, and for today's deep dive, we are putting a massive explosive controversy under the microscope. We're unpacking the severe backlash against BTS members RM and J-Hope.
Right, and we'll also be analyzing HYBE's increasingly troubled pattern of pairing their artists with highly controversial Western figures. Plus, we're exploring the intense, unyielding ethical magnifying glass placed on K-pop idols.
We really have a lot of ground to cover for you today, so we should probably just jump straight into the timeline.
Let's do it. So the geography and the timing are basically the foundation of this entire situation. We have to start on August 12th, 2026, in Toronto, Canada.
Right, because BTS is literally days away from their massive Orang World Tour comeback.
And this was a massive deal, right? Like a huge moment.
Oh, absolutely. It's their first time returning to Canada in almost a decade. They're scheduled to play 2 back-to-back sold-out nights at Rogers Stadium. I mean, the cultural anticipation was just staggering.
The city of Toronto even renamed a major street to BTS Boulevard for the month.
Yeah, and the physical album sales for Arirang were already shattering pre-order records globally. It was positioned to be this, monumental, triumphant return to the stage after their long hiatus.
The stage was perfectly set for a historic week. But then, just days before BTS is supposed to take over the Rogers Stadium, the R&B tour rolls through that exact same venue.
Yeah, the tour co-headlined by Usher and Chris Brown.
Exactly. And RM and J-Hope attend the show, which, attending a concert is one thing, but the interaction went much further.
Right, because J-Hope posted a story to his Instagram, lip-syncing to Chris Brown's track, Look at Me Now.
And shortly after that, the photos dropped online. We see RM and J-Hope backstage, posing and smiling alongside Usher and Chris Brown.
That specific visual is what ignited the internet. The BTS army is universally recognized as, one of the most organized, mobilized fandoms on the planet.
Oh, without a doubt.
But within hours of those photos surfacing, that unified front completely fractured. Publications like the Hindustan Times and Billboard Canada documented this incredibly swift, severe wave of backlash.
Fans were completely blindsided because we were looking at a situation that goes way beyond a simple celebrity faux pas.
Yep.
The outrage centers entirely on Chris Brown.
Right, a figure with a deeply documented 17-year history of violence.
Yeah, we are talking about the highly publicized 2009 felony assault against Rihanna and the 2023 London nightclub incident involving a thrown bottle, which he just pleaded guilty to.
Plus, there's a current $13 million civil lawsuit over a violent dog attack on his former housekeeper.
Literally a massive Wikipedia page strictly dedicated to his legal issues and abuse history.
And the friction point here is the psychological collision of brand identity. Because for years, BTS has offered their fans much more than just choreography and vocals.
They sold a holistic philosophy.
Exactly. Their entire global empire was built on a foundation of anti-violence and self-acceptance. They famously partnered with UNICEF for the Love Myself campaign to end violence against youth.
And Aura has even spoken openly in the past about actively consulting feminist professors, right? Just to ensure their lyrics were respectful and didn't inadvertently promote misogyny.
Yeah, so they really established themselves as a safe harbor in the entertainment industry.
So you look at the discussions happening on Reddit, specifically within the art-uncensored community, and the heartbreak from the fans is just visceral.
Oh, it's intense.
One user perfectly captured the sheer hypocrisy fans are feeling, writing, women made their fan base, I guess money talks. Another prominent comment read, "There's no it's just a song excuse when the singer is a known abuser."
You have to remember, the very women who streamed those tracks day and night, who bought the physical albums to ensure that flawless all-kill status, they feel fundamentally disrespected.
They feel the artists they protected are turning around and validating someone who harms women.
It creates a profound sense of cognitive dissonance. In K-pop, the parasocial relationship, that deep psychological bond between the fan and the artist, is the economic engine of the whole system.
Fans invest their financial resources, sure, But they also invest their personal identity and moral alignment into these idols.
Right. So when a fan looks at that photo, they're forced to ask themselves how to reconcile the empathetic, socially conscious idols they love with the individual those same idols are casually smiling next to.
And the situation gets even more complicated because it isn't isolated to just RM and J-Hope. The Maknae line is tangled up in this narrative too.
Yeah, the younger members. Just a day prior to the Toronto concert, V and Jungkook were seen visibly vibing to Chris Brown's music during a Weverse live stream,
where they communicate directly with their most dedicated fans.
Exactly. And Jimin, who is, universally adored for his sweet public persona, has publicly referred to Chris Brown as his idol on multiple occasions.
Wow, that really broadens the scope of the fandom's crisis. Do they hold the entire group accountable for a systemic culture of overlooking this behavior?
Naturally, a defense squad emerged within the fandom. You had thousands of fans arguing that enjoying a musician's sonic output does not equate to an endorsement of their criminal record.
The classic separate the art from the artist argument.
Right. They argue BTS simply owes the public music and their backstage interactions are private business. But for an act that spent a decade strictly linking their music to moral messaging, that defense feels incredibly hollow to a lot of fans.
But hold on. Aren't we looking at this purely through an emotional, fan-driven lens? Let's zoom out and look at the corporate machinery behind the scenes.
Okay, let's look at it.
On those same Reddit forums, individuals claiming to work in entertainment PR suggested this might have been a mandated move. Like, what if this was simply contractual obligation to post?
Driven by the parent companies trying to cross-pollinate audiences.
Exactly. Are fans expecting these idols to navigate the Western music industry like they're walking blindfolded through a minefield where brushing shoulders with a controversial figure instantly trips a career-ending alarm?
That corporate perspective is essential to consider. Is it highly probable that a massive conglomerate like HYBE engineered a cross-promotional contract with Usher and Chris Brown's management? Absolutely.
Right.
But if that is the reality, it points to a catastrophic failure in HYBE's internal risk assessment.
You really think so? Even for a PR move?
Oh, completely.
Right.
Even if high-level executives orchestrated that backstage meeting, the resulting optics are disastrous. If it was a calculated move to capture a wider Western demographic, it demonstrates a staggering disconnect from the core values of the very people who fund their operations.
The BTS army.
Exactly.
Well, if this feels like a massive corporate misstep, it actually hints at a much deeper systemic flaw in how their parent company operates. But this isn't just about one backstage photo in Toronto. Wait till you hear what netizens uncovered about HYBE's entire collaboration strategy next.
Oh, it gets so much worse.
It really does. And hey, if you love staying updated on your favorites and getting the real story behind the headlines, make sure you're subscribed to StarScope K-Report.
You definitely don't want to miss this next part, because that backstage photo in Toronto is not an isolated blind spot.
No, it's not.
It's the most visible symptom of what domestic Korean netizens and international fans are now calling HYBE's collaboration curse. And there seems to be a structural failure in how the company approaches integrating their pristine idols with Western artists.
Let's look at the latest uproar currently dominating entertainment sites like Koreaboo. HYBE's global girl group, Knetz, recently announced a brand new remix for their track Gnarly, featuring the Western rapper Ice Spice.
And almost immediately, the collective internet just groaned.
I mean, the unified frustration between the domestic K-netz and the international fans was palpable.
The overarching sentiment was total confusion as to why HYBE continuously risks the meticulously crafted reputations of their artists by tossing them into the murky waters of Western celebrity drama.
Right, because Ice Spice is currently viewed by a massive segment of netizens as highly controversial or even irrelevant, someone who's lost her cultural momentum.
And the receipts the fans brought forward are incredibly damning. One Reddit user commented, she heard, "I'm the shit," and busted the studio door down.
Ouch.
They added, HYBE stays picking up what would be exciting collabs only after the collaborator has fallen off or has everyone mad at them.
And they are not wrong.
Yeah.
We saw severe criticism when Jungkook collaborated with Justin Timberlake, specifically because of the lingering controversies surrounding Timberlake's past behavior.
Yeah, and we saw LA Seraphim's Yoonjin release a track with Max, which instantly caused old allegations of racist and sexist behavior from Max to resurface. It dragged Yoonjin right into the mud.
And we cannot forget the 17 fan base organizing a literal boycott of a track simply because it featured DJ Khaled.
To understand why this keeps happening, we have to look at consumer behavior and brand equity.
Okay, break that down for us.
So there's this deeply illuminating study by researcher James Mangan that analyzed the effect of celebrity endorsers on consumer purchase intent. Mangan focused on traditional consumer markets and found something pretty counterintuitive.
Which is?
The data showed that the negative, controversial behavior of a celebrity often does not have a statistically significant negative impact on the general public's willingness to purchase a physical product they endorse.
Wait, really? So if a Western celebrity is embroiled in a massive scandal, the data suggests it doesn't actually stop the average consumer from buying the shoes or the beverage they're holding in a commercial?
According to the data, no, it generally doesn't. Consumers are aware of the scandals, but they compartmentalize it. It rarely plays a significant role at the checkout counter. And this is the critical piece of the puzzle. HYBE executives are almost certainly looking at that exact type of traditional corporate data. They're analyzing the raw streaming numbers, the global reach, assuming any controversy will just wash away.
So if we view this strictly through the lens of a $5.4 billion corporation, it is just raw, calculated business mathematics.
Precisely.
Ice Spice brings a very specific, massive demographic to Cat's Eye. DJ Khaled brings a highly specific radio-friendly demographic to 17. Is it entirely fair to expect a publicly traded mega corporation to prioritize pure, unquantifiable ethics over measurable streams?
Well, that's the standard corporate defense, but it highlights exactly where HYBE's strategy severely miscalculates the unique ecosystem of K-pop. Mangan's study contains another crucial finding.
Oh, what's that?
The long-term effectiveness of any endorser relies entirely on credibility. In traditional markets, you're selling a sneaker. In K-pop, you are selling a parasocial identity. You are selling trust.
Ah, I see.
When HYBE takes their intensely protected idols and attaches them to Western artists carrying controversial baggage, they aren't just risking a temporary dip in Spotify streams. They're actively eroding the core credibility of their own artists in the eyes of a fiercely protective fandom.
So they're essentially playing by Western corporate rules in an Eastern fandom ecosystem. And it is spectacularly backfiring.
Exactly.
They're chasing the fading clout of a Justin Timberlake or an Ice Spice, completely underestimating the ethical whiplash it causes for the fans who actually fund their billion-dollar empire.
Netizens are incredibly perceptive when it comes to authenticity. They look at these collabs and conclude that HYBE's executives simply do not have their finger on the pulse of the Western cultural market.
They're buying high on Western artists whose cultural stock is already in freefall and forcing their pristine K-pop idols to absorb the negative baggage.
It exposes a fundamental misunderstanding of what a K-pop idol actually represents to the public. And that demand for flawless representation reaches a fever pitch when it intersects with national history.
We're going to see just how intense that gets when we look at the fallout from Korea's National Liberation Day. And that's not even the wildest part of this culture clash. Later in the deep dive, we'll talk about a shocking National Liberation Day controversy that forced two top idols to issue public apologies within 24 hours.
The double standard we are seeing is truly unbelievable.
It really is. So hit that subscribe button so you never miss a KT update as we continue to track these major industry shifts.
Because the contrast is staggering. We just analyzed how Western artists like Chris Brown survived decades of massive, violently documented scandals, continued to tour stadiums globally, and maintain corporate support.
But the moment we shift the lens to K-pop idols, the margin for error shrinks to absolute zero. Let's examine the events of August 15th, 2026. This is Korea's National Liberation Day.
For context, this is a day of profound national significance, commemorating the liberation of the Korean peninsula from Japanese colonial rule in 1945. It's a day centered on national pride.
Right. And according to coverage by the Korea Herald, TXT's Yeonjun posted a series of photos on his personal Instagram account. The issue: the photos were visibly taken in Japan.
And on that very same day, Felix from Stray Kids was interacting with his fans on the app Bubble, that subscription app for direct messaging. During the chat, he casually mentioned wanting to try a Japanese anime challenge for a short-form video.
Just for mentioning an anime. The internet reaction was immediate, and it was entirely unforgiving. Netizens across multiple platforms slammed both idols for demonstrating a severe, deeply offensive lack of historical awareness on a day carrying such heavy significance.
The corporate and personal fallout was incredibly swift. There was no waiting for the news cycle to pass. Within hours, both idols issued deep, highly formalized public apologies.
Yeah, Yeonjun posted directly to Weavers, apologizing at length for his careless action and promising to deeply reflect.
And Felix issued a similarly deep apology routed through his agency, JYP Entertainment, expressing profound regret.
Let's just pause and hold these two realities next to each other. A Western artist can plead guilty to assault, and 17 years later, they're headlining a stadium tour.
Right.
A K-pop idol posts a standard vacation photo from Japan on the wrong calendar day, or mentions a cartoon on a private fan app, and it immediately escalates into a full-blown national scandal requiring deeply humiliating corporate apologies.
To understand that disparity, we have to look at the underlying cultural architecture of what a K-pop idol actually is. Music critic Kim Do-hyun offered a brilliant analytical breakdown of this dynamic in the Korea Herald.
What did he say?
He explained that idols in South Korea are not simply viewed as entertainers. They're elevated to the status of cultural icons and, quite literally, national representatives.
So when they perform globally, they're expected to embody South Korean values, history, and pride. They are operating under an impossible, almost diplomatic standard of behavior at all times.
Precisely. And Kim Do-hyun points out another critical factor, the weaponization of the manufactured label.
Oh, that's interesting.
Western media frequently relies on this term, heavily implying that idols are entirely controlled and polished by their massive agencies. So when an idol makes a misstep, the public doesn't view it as a simple human error made by a busy 20-something.
It's instantly viewed as a catastrophic systemic failure of a billion-dollar corporate machine that absolutely should have known better.
Exactly.
But this raises an important question. Is the manufactured label a convenient excuse to strip idols of their personal accountability? Like, fans assume it isn't Yeonjun's fault. Big hit social media manager should have checked his cue.
Right.
Or is this a legitimate defense against a toxic fandom culture that demands absolute robotic perfection?
It's a complex intersection of both. The social media infrastructure that birthed the Hallyu wave, providing fans with a direct lifeline to their favorite artists, is the exact same infrastructure that places these young artists in an inescapable pressure cooker.
Millions of people are dissecting their every breath, post, and casual comment.
Yeah. And critic Kim Do-hyun argues that as an industry, we have to deeply question whether it is ethical or sustainable to excessively crucify an individual for a naive momentary mistake.
Especially considering they're constantly juggling the exhausting realities of being global superstars on tour. But that brings us full circle to the core tension of this entire discussion.
How so?
The fans who are aggressively demanding that Yeonjun and Felix be historically and culturally perfect are the exact same fans demanding that RM and J-Hope be ethically perfect regarding who they take photos with backstage.
Wow. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The fandom operates from a position where they feel they hold the ultimate moral high ground, and they're not afraid to hold the idol's feet to the fire to enforce it.
The power dynamic at play here is entirely unique to this industry. The fans feel a profound, justified sense of ownership over the idol's morality.
Because their intense financial and emotional investment is the literal fuel that propelled these artists to the top of the golden pedestal. They built the throne, so they believe they have the right to dictate how the person sitting on it behaves.
It means we're trying to measure the ocean with a ruler. The tools and frameworks we use to judge Western pop stars just do not apply here. The entire system is incredibly complex.
It really is.
You have massive agencies like HYBE treating artist collaborations like calculated, data-driven math problems to maximize global streams, while the fans are treating those exact same collaborations like deeply personal, devastating moral betrayals.
And until the corporate boardroom and the digital fandom find a way to communicate on the same cultural wavelength, these intense controversies are only going to become more frequent.
And significantly more damaging to the artists caught in the middle, which leaves you with a lingering, deeply complex question to consider. If K-pop truly wants to maintain its massive global Hallyu wave dominance, will agencies have to start vetting their Western collaborators with the exact same terrifying, intense scrutiny they apply to their own idols?
Or will the inevitable messy clash between Western bad boy culture and Eastern perfect idol culture eventually destroy the very fandoms that built these billion-dollar empires in the first place?
You've been listening to StarScope K-Report, where Eric and Minji bring you the stories shaping K-pop, K-dramas, and the global Hallyu wave. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.